back to our YouTube channel GurMantra Shiksha Ka Granth. I am your educator Nidhi Dua and I teach you chemistry at this platform. In this video lecture, we are going to study about our section 3. We have completed S block elements, and in this lecture, we are going to study about the P block elements, group number 14. This is the syllabus that we have covered till now, and without any further delay, let's begin our topic. Amorphous form of carbon. This is the remaining part of group number 14. So basically, amorphous form of carbon is free reactive carbon that does not have any crystalline structure. Amorphous carbon materials may be stabilized by terminating pi bonds with hydrogen. As with amorphous solids, some short-range orders can be observed. In mineralogy, amorphous carbon is the name used for coal, soot, carbides, derived carbons, and other impure forms of carbon that are neither graphite nor diamond. So number 1 amorphous form of carbon is coal. This coal is naturally formed and artificially formed. Coal is always formed in different forms. Coal is a hard rock which can be burned as a solid fossil fuel. It is mostly carbon but contains hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen and nitrogen. For example, peat, lignite, bituminous and anthracite. Maximum percent and manufacture of coal gas, coal tar and coke. The calorific value which is present in maximum amount in anthracite. You have to memorize this point. The maximum amount of calorific value is present in anthracite, a different form of coal. This coal is a sedimentary rock formed from peat by the pressure of rock laid down later on the top. Next is the charcoal. This charcoal is obtained by heating wood, cellulose and any carbonous matter in limited supply of air. When you heated charcoal, the water molecules are removed, then this charcoal is converted into activated charcoal. By this process, absorption capacity of charcoal is increased, which is known as activated charcoal. Charcoal is a lightweight black carbon residue produced by strongly heating wood or other animal and plant materials that contains the carbonous matter so as to dry off all the water and other volatile constituents. In the traditional version of pyrolysis process called charcoal burning, the heat is supplied by burning part of starting material itself with a limited amount of oxygen. Charcoal is the most active form of carbon. You have to remember, you have to memorize this point that charcoal is the most active form of carbon. Why? Due to its large surface area. Next is the lamp black or carbon black or soot. This is highly soft black powder. Carbon black is a material produced by incomplete combustion of heavy petroleum products such as FCC tar, petroleum, kerosene oil, turpentine oil in a limited supply of air. Carbon black is a form of paracrystalline carbon that has a high surface area to volume ratio, albeit lower than that of activated carbon. It contains 98 to 99% of carbon. It is highly soft black powder used for making printing inks, ribbon of typewriters. The most common use, 70% of carbon black is as a pigment and reinforcing phase in the automobile's tire. Carbon black also helps to conduct heat away from the tread and belt area of the tire. About 20% of the world production goes into belts, hoses and other non-tire rubber goods. The balance is mainly used as the pigment in inks, coatings and plastics. Other most important forms of carbon, that is your Buckminster fullerene, or also known as buckyball. It has the formula C60 formed by the hexa and pentagonal rings of carbon. Buckminster fullerene is a type of fullerene with the formula C60. It has a cage-like structure, fused ring structure that resembles a saucer ball, made of 20 hexagons and 12 pentagons. You have to remember this point. It has the formula C60 formed by the 20 hexagons and 12 pentagons units. Each carbon has 3 bonds. It is black solid that dissolves in hydrocarbon solvents to produce a violet solution. This structure is of football type or saucer type. Formation of Buckminster fullerene. When you heat up graphite and evaporate by the laser, this will form the fullerene. Graphite, when in presence of inert gas electric arc, this will also form fullerene. Fullerene normally contains C60 with smaller quantity of C70. C60 is also known as Buckminster fullerenes in order of Robert Buckminster Fuller. You have to memorize the name of scientist in honor of Robert Buckminster Fuller. C60 is known as Buckminster fullerene. Shape of C60 is saucer ball like and C70 is like rugby ball. C70 and C60 both has the hexagonal and pentagonal units. Talking about the properties of this fullerene, the chemical formula is C60, molar mass is 720 gram per mole. Appearance dark needle-like crystal, and the crystal structure is FCC type. You have to remember this, the crystal structure is FCC type. Now, chemical properties of carbon. All the allotropic forms of carbon burn in air or oxygen, forming carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. As you can see here, when you react carbon with O2 with air, you will get CO2 gas. While when you take 2 moles of carbon reacting with oxygen, this will form 2 moles of carbon monoxide. So in these two reactions, you can clearly see the production of CO2 gas and the production of carbon monoxide gas. Next is the reducing property of carbon. Carbon is a strong reducing agent. It reduces many metallic oxide to corresponding metals, water to hydrogen at high temperature. Next is the formation of carbides. When you talk about the formation of carbides, when heated with certain oxides, when you heat carbon with certain oxides, it will form corresponding carbides. For example, when you heat calcium oxide with carbon at 200 degrees Celsius, what you will get? You will get calcium carbide plus carbon monoxide gas. This is the very important reaction. You have to learn this reaction. When you heat up CaO, calcium oxide, with 3 carbon at 200 degrees Celsius, you will get calcium carbide and carbon monoxide gas. Next is the compounds of carbon. Basically, we will study 2 compounds of carbon. Number 1 is carbon dioxide and number 2 is carbon monoxide. Talking about the preparation methods of carbon dioxide. There are 2 methods to form carbon dioxide. Number 1 is from lime kilns. Lime is manufactured by the calcination of limestone. CO2 is obtained as a product. When you heat up calcium carbonate, you will get calcium oxide and CO2 gas. This is the formation of CO2 gas. By combustion of carbon and fossil fuels in excess of oxygen. When you burn carbon and fossil fuels like coal, petroleum, kerosene oil in an excess of oxygen, you will get the formation of CO2 gas. Next, physical properties of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a chemical compound composed of 1 carbon and 2 oxygen atoms. It is often referred by the formula CO2. It is present in the Earth's atmosphere at a low concentration and acts as a greenhouse gas. This carbon dioxide is a colorless and odorless gas. Dry ice is obtained when carbon dioxide is cooled under pressure 50 to 60 atmosphere. It is slightly soluble in water under ordinary pressure, but when you give high pressure to carbon dioxide, the solubility will increase. Next is the chemical properties. If you talk about the chemical properties of carbon dioxide, when CO2 gas reacts with a single carbon atom, this will form the carbon monoxide. And when you react CO2 gas with NaOH, this will form the Na2CO3. Next point is weakly acidic oxide. When dissolved in water, some molecule of water reacts with carbon dioxide and forms carbonic acid. As you can see here in this reaction, when CO2 gas reacts with H2O, this will form the H2CO3. Carbon dioxide has a sharp and acidic odor and generates the taste of soda water in mouth. Next is the uses of carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is used as the fire extinguisher, used in the aerated water, and for the purification of sugarcane juice. It is employed in the Solvay process. You have to memorize this point. This carbon dioxide is employed in the Solvay's process. Solid CO2 is used as the refrigerant. And this CO2 is also helpful in the manufacturing of urea with NH3. These are the some uses of carbon dioxide. Next is the carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless and tasteless flammable gas that is slightly less dense than air. You have to remember this point. Density of carbon monoxide is less than that of air. It is toxic to animals that use hemoglobin as an oxygen carrier in case of both invertebrates and vertebrates. Talking about the preparation method for carbon monoxide, its small amount is found in volcanic gases, exhaust of engines, and chimney gases. When you react a carbon atom with half molecule of O2 gas, you will get the formation of carbon monoxide. And for the production of pure type of carbon monoxide, just react the HCOOH with H2SO4. When these two will react, the formation of carbon monoxide and H2O will take place. Industrially, it is obtained in the form of water gas and producer gas when air is passed over the bed of white hot coke. As you can see here, 4 carbon plus O2 plus 4 N2 will form 2CO plus 4 N2. Carbon plus H2O will form CO plus H2, and this CO plus H2 is known as water gas. Water gas is a fuel consisting mainly of carbon monoxide and hydrogen made by passing steam over incandescent coke. Properties: it is the highly poisonous gas as it can combine with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin, which is not capable to absorb oxygen, and this carbon monoxide burns with a blue flame to form carbon dioxide, and this process is exothermic in nature, means heat is released in this process. This was all about carbon dioxide. This was all about carbon monoxide. Now the chemical properties of carbon monoxide. There are 3 main properties of carbon monoxide, 3 main chemical reactions in case of carbon monoxide, which you need to remember. Number 1 is when you react carbon monoxide with Fe2O3 at 600 to 900 degrees Celsius, you will get the formation of 2Fe plus 3CO2. This is very important reaction. I repeat, when you react a molecule of carbon monoxide to Fe2O3 at 600 to 900 degrees Celsius, you will get the formation of 2 iron plus 3 CO2 gas. Next is the second number reaction, that is when you react carbon monoxide with chlorine Cl2 in presence of sunlight, you will get the formation of CoCl2, that is phosgene. Phosgene is the organic chemical compound with the formula CoCl2. You have to memorize this point. It is colorless gas. In low concentration, its odor resembles that of freshly cut hay or glass. You have to remember this point. I repeat, its odor resembles that of freshly cut hay or grass. Phosgene is a valued industrial building block, especially for the production of urethanes and polycarbonate plastics. And if you talk about the bond length, in case of CoCl2, this is in between carbon and chlorine, this is 174 picometer, and in between carbon and oxygen, this is 118 picometer, and the bond angle in CoCl2 is 111 degree. You have to remember the bond angle in case of CoCl2, that is 108 degree. And the structure is like this: C double bond O, then Cl, and the formula becomes CoCl2. Next reaction is when you react carbon monoxide with nickel at 80 degrees Celsius, you will get the NiCO2. You have to remember this reaction also. That is, when you react carbon monoxide with nickel at 80 degrees Celsius, you will get NiCO2, NiCO whole twice, and this process is known as Mons process. The Mons process, sometimes known as carbonyl process, is a technique to extract and purify nickel. The impure nickel reacts with carbon monoxide at 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, or it can exceed up to 80 degrees Celsius to form gas nickel carbonyl, leaving impurities as solids. So this was all about carbon monoxide. Till now we have studied group number 13 and group number 14. We have studied the physical and chemical properties of carbon family in previous lecture, and in this lecture we have studied the most important forms of carbon, the allotropes of carbon, and the reaction of carbon and the compounds of carbon, that was carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. This was all about group number 14, carbon family. Now, in case if you are new here at our YouTube channel GurMantra, please do like, share and subscribe. For further queries, you can mail us on tanejanehaofficial@gmail.com.